I am Mark Lawrence, host of the show. Across from me, ultra-conservative Republican businessman, elected committee person, an American first, Ben Reichley. Kevin Herr, the greatest engineer the world has ever known, is on the other side of the glass making the webcam perfecto. He zooms in, scrolls over, posts up, puts in, makes the audio clear, sharpens the sound, and makes it perfect. Why watch the video? Well, you get a crystal clear image of our studio. You get to see the names of the callers. We post the number repeatedly on there so you know which number to call, and it also serves as an archive. Go to our YouTube channel at WKOK.com. Just click on YouTube, or just go to YouTube and click on WKOK. Either way, and you could watch the archival programs that Kevin's in the process of recording even as we speak. So the webcam is up and running. Sunbury Motor Company is our main sponsor. I can't wait to hear this. They are a family-owned business since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Find out more about them at sunburymotors.com. Next hour, we're going to find out about what kind of vehicular device that Kevin gets to drive around. But in the meantime, they invite you to visit the Quick Lane on North 4th Street, specializing in all types of service, vehicles, state inspections, nitrogen for tires. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 7. You just can't beat it. Maybe you get a little odd squeak. You don't know what it is. Every time you go forward, it squeaks, but when you go backward, it doesn't. When you're idle, it doesn't make any sound at all. That obviously means that there is a mouse on the gas pedal. So they'll help troubleshoot that at Sunbury Motors. SunburyMotors.com is their main website. Kevin Herr has driven, a Kia Soul. Last week it was the Turbo Kia. He's had an F-150.
By the way, I saw the Optima Turbo commercial on Sunday Night Football last night.
Oh, yeah? No kidding. What did that look like?
Looked exactly like the one you'll find at Sunbury Motors,
okay.
Routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, as a matter of fact.
No, it was color white, correct?
Yes.
And what are you driving this week?
This week is the 2014 Ford Escape Titanium.
Oh, you dog.
So this week we'll be featuring the Ford Escape and telling you about all the great things, including all-wheel drive, on the fly, and you don't have to make the adjustment. It does it for you.
Good SUV. And let's see, your mileage on the highway, that's one of their claim to fames.
28 with the EcoBoost engine, and it's a 4-cylinder that acts like a 6.
Yep, absolutely. Good for you. Okay, well, thank you. We'll hear lots more about that during the 9 o'clock hour. Lenape Solar is located at 140 South 2nd Street in Sunbury. You can find them on the web at lenapesolar.com. Call them telephonically at 286-1496. Give them a buzz and tell them you'd like to talk to them about one of the three main foci of their good business. One is solar thermal and solar voltaic systems. They can get you hooked up directly to the sun. Another is commercial lighting audits. If you are a stakeholder or a business owner or somebody who's a decision maker out of business, they guarantee you before you talk to them that you are paying too much for the lighting that's necessary in your business. They can save you $1. You can do as some other folks have done and get your money back within a year. So the consultancy fee and the installation charges are such that you'll save so much money, it will be to your advantage to go ahead and get that done. LenapeSolar.com. And the another add-on to their business, since they have so much expertise, is the HVAC, the ductless HVAC. They got Mitsubishi HVAC. Those are the little heat pumps that go outside the home, and just some very non-obtrusive duct work or piping, really, that goes into the home. And you get ultra inexpensive, ultra efficient HVAC for your home. As our hour ends up today, we'll have an open phones 9 a.m. hour. We start out the 9 a.m. with news headlines. We'll let you know the news headlines of the day. And we're going to have open phones as we wrap up this half hour. We're going to start out this half hour. We'll have a fellow on the line named Dwayne Heisler. He's from Catawissa, talking about an activity that's coming up in Bloomsburg next Sunday. And they are calling it a Lights for Equality and Fairness Vigil. And you may recall from several weeks ago we talked about on this program a bridal boutique up in Bloomsburg declined to cater to or sell dresses to lesbian couples, not just one couple but several of them. And so because of that type of discrimination, there will be a Lights for Equality and Fairness Vigil this Sunday. It'll be in the front of the Columbia County Courthouse. Everybody is invited. And we'll have Dwayne on the line. He's going to tell us that it's a grassroots community response by members of the business, faith, arts, and university communities, all in response to the discrimination and hate incidents that have happened lately in and around Columbia County. And he can tell us what some of those other. M&M is just one element in that, but he can tell us about the rest of the activities. Well, we are very glad to say that Dwayne is on the line. Dwayne, thank you so much for checking in this morning. We appreciate you calling us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you call yourself a business person in Bloomsburg. Explain what you work hard on.
Well, I am one of the owners of Remit Corporation on Main Street in Bloomsburg. We've been in business since 1992. So I am a part of the business community, have been active with the local chamber and a variety of other organizations in town.
All right, and this activity at M&M Bridal is just one of several reasons that a vigil is a good choice. Tell us about other incidents or activities or reports that have happened in and around Columbia County.
Well, there's been several. First of all, there were 3 separate instances at WW Bridal of people being refused services, public accommodation. But there's been some other racial issues that have happened, and this is why the event is called Lights for Equality and Fairness. It's against all forms of discrimination. We had an issue about 4 days ago. A young African-American man in his early 20s was walking down the main street of Bloomsburg when a vehicle pulled over. This is hard to believe in 2014, by the way. A vehicle pulled over, rolled down the window, and yelled some racial slurs at him. That was, even prior to that, a month ago, there was a young woman, and this was actually, it's in the process of being prosecuted right now. There was a young woman, African-American woman, 18 years old. It was dark, like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening, sometime around that. Was walking down Main Street in Bloomsburg when a truck pulled up, rolled down the window. There was a man in there with a white hood and KKK robes, complete with the insignia, and yelled several racial slurs, as you can imagine, and told her to get out of our town. These are just 2 that have been reported and have really made an impact on our community, and we're trying to say not in our town.
All right, and let's talk about M&M Bridal very briefly here. This is a form of discrimination that, is, in one sense, isn't illegal if religious faith is used for a decision about a personal business decision. Is there any effort underway to make that illegal, that type of discrimination?
Yes, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious excuse. Pennsylvania is one of it is the only state in the whole Northeast that does not include gay people in anti-discrimination, LGBT. It is the only state also where we have marriage equality and there are no protections for LGBT. And what that means is that someone could get married today and tomorrow go to their workplace wearing their wedding ring and be fired, and there is no legal recourse for that.
All right, so
they could not be hired for the same reason. We're not hiring you because you're gay. You can be kicked out of public accommodations like a movie theater or a restaurant. If I wanted to buy the building across the street, purchase of commercial property, they could say no because you're gay. The list is really endless, and so this is the reason why 34 other communities have imposed an ordinance to take care of the gap that's there from the state law, which is missing.
All right, and I sort of alluded to it in my question, and I hope our audience is wondering, if you have a private transaction, this is private people, a person goes into a business, a door swings closed behind them, at what point should the government not reach into that business and control the specific transaction?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And, the fact of the matter is that there are laws already out there protecting someone. We all know that if a business is open to the public and a person of color walks into the business, they can't be thrown out for that. We all know that if a business is open to the public and a handicapped individual comes in, you can't throw them out because they're handicapped, or they're seeing eye dog, or if they're male or female, and quite honestly, for their religious convictions. I can't throw you out because you're a Baptist or Presbyterian. So, I don't know, do we consider that government reaching into the business?
Well, Dwayne, at some point, when you're looking at the businesses and people that are going to run their business, they're making decisions based on the marketplace and that. But when is sexuality really a factor in doing business? If you go into a business, is somebody asking you about your sexuality for the most part? Now, at the bridal store, you understand that these people are looking at it from a religious side, but that's a choice they're making to do business or not do business with people. But there are federal regulations that trump some of the state regulations in handling parts of the firings and some of the discriminations you just talked about. So
no, there's not. Not for gay people. There's not. There's not a federal law.
Yeah, the non-discrimination laws and the EEOC laws.
The non-discrimination law does not apply to LGBT.
I've not heard that it doesn't apply to that, but if you're saying,
yeah,
you're saying
that is a fact, and that's the reason why this is so important, because it's a leveling of the playing field. You see, it's not a new law; it's just adding LGBT to the existing law that says if you're open for business, you should be open to everyone equally.
But isn't that the law? It doesn't say because you are X or Y. It's the law. You can't discriminate.
No, the law is very clear. It covers those parties that are listed under the protected class, and LGBT is not one of those parties.
But aren't...
what it covers is, I have the list here, it covers national origin, genetic information, ancestry, religion, color, sex, perceived race, that's what we want to do here. Let's go back to the list. Sexual orientation or gender identity is not included. Marital status, age, mental or physical disability, guide, support for animals, mechanical aids, those things for the handicapped. It does not include LGBT.
But it doesn't disclude them in those regards, because you're talking about sexual orientation or you're talking about gender combined into that. My point in looking at this is that it covers...
Sexual orientation is not included in it.
So you're saying the law doesn't macro...
70% of Pennsylvanians do not realize that it is legal to throw a gay person out of a restaurant. That's the problem. People don't know.
All right, now why have a vigil? Why is a vigil a good way to start to affect positive change?
We were thinking about a community response, and we have people from the Downtown Business Association. There's been several meetings with spiritual leadership of reaching out. The university, of course, is very active. Bloomsburg has worked very hard from the Anti-Defamation League to get a designation of a place without hate. And so we're thinking about what the best response is, and we're thinking about having some kind of protest. And the idea of people holding up signs just wasn't working for us. And so we thought that having a candlelight vigil, making a very open, either secular or non-secular statement about a peaceful, gathering of people that says, you know what, this is our town, and we do not want any form of discrimination like the ones I'd outlined earlier, too, the racial discrimination that's been happening in our town. We don't want any of it here. We can do it elsewhere if you want, but not in Bloomsburg. Bloomsburg is a wonderful community, and we don't want it here.
If the vigil works, what will change first? What will change next? What will the community be like if the message that we'll see at this Sunday's vigil, and folks, we're talking to Dwayne Heisler. He lives in Catawissa but is a businessman in Bloomsburg. A Lights for Equality Fairness vigil, 6:30 p.m. this Sunday in front of the Columbia County Courthouse. If you have a question for us, call us now, 1-800-795-9565. That's 1-800-795-9565. If this grassroots community vigil is successful, what's going to happen and when? Walk us through a brighter future.
Okay. Well, I think Bloomsburg has already paved the way for the brighter future. You know, we went through the process, and every year we do, to become a place of no hate. And these incidents do occur. And so I guess, you know, by being complacent and not doing anything, we're almost giving the green light to say, go ahead, do these things. It's acceptable. And by standing up as a community, as a strong community that Bloomsburg is, and saying, not in our backyard, then we're going to be sending a clear message to anyone out there that this is not acceptable. I also want to commend the Bloomsburg Police Department, who went above and beyond and did the investigation for that young African-American woman, that 18-year-old girl who was walking down the streets and was terrified by that person in the hood pulling over, rolling down the window, yelling these racial slurs at her and telling her to get out of our town. They hunted those people down. They found them. There was posts that were on their Facebook page, and they are being prosecuted. You know, it was a crime. The police chief reported that it was a crime, and they really had to investigate to get to the bottom of it. And that's just one step. You know, and the mayor herself even spoke out at a recent town council meeting and said, not here, not in Bloomsburg. This is not acceptable. And now it's time for the community to step up and back the two of them and say, yes, it is not acceptable. So I think what would be defined as a success would be people coming to the vigil, standing up together in a peaceful way, and just saying, not in our town, and to get that message throughout the community that this is unacceptable in today's day and age. It's unbelievable, actually.
Ben?
Well, you're creating an awareness factor. I guess is that the main purpose is that these events are taking place and to create awareness among the masses more than just specific groups.
Well, I think that there is actually an awareness component. There's an educational component. As I said before, most people, going back to the LGBT discrimination, most people don't know that it's legal in the state of Pennsylvania to discriminate against LGBT. So part of it is educational. The other part is, I think, is an awareness that, you know, that there are good people in this town, and they can come together when the need is there to be very clear that this is not what we want our community to be, and that it is unacceptable behavior.
And Dwayne, looking at the research from this topic, though, and looking at, you're saying the law isn't specific enough, and some people are saying the law covers discrimination. You're saying it doesn't specifically cover groups that you want to be recognized. Is that the rub against the law?
What I'm saying is it does not cover LGBT, period.
But
gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual. It does not cover any of those sexual orientation.
But it does cover the basic discriminations against people. Then you're saying it doesn't go specific enough to cover the groups you want to be covered.
Well, what I'm saying is that it does not encompass the LGBT community, and therefore we end up with issues, you know, like that.
And
so,
is that illegal?
It covers race, it covers color, sex, religion, ancestry, all those kind of things, and including your religious beliefs, but it does not cover LGBT. That's correct.
And that's a Harrisburg issue. That's a state issue that needs to be addressed.
Well, no, there's 34 communities that have addressed it. That's the whole point. That relying on Harrisburg to do anything, I mean, give me a break. They've had HB 300 in the House since 2001, and it's being blocked by Darrell Metcalf and not allowed out of committee. And so with it not coming out of committee, Governor Corbett even can say, hey, I'll sign it if it gets to my desk. And he did that in December, but it won't get to his desk because Darrell Metcalf will not release it and bring it for a vote. In the Senate, they have enough votes right now to get it through. But it's not happening because the House is stuck. And that's been since 2001. Okay, that's 13 years for the House to do what's right, and it has not happened. Every other state in the Northeast has done it. Every state that has marriage equality has done it. Pennsylvania has not, and that's why 34 communities have stepped forward and said, not in our town. And Bloomsburg needs to be a part of that because we have a great community.
All right. Thank you so much. An additional word, Dwayne, anything to add to our discussion?
Well, When it comes to religion, I want to say this because we've had a really good meeting of religious leaders, several meetings actually, in our area that talk about when someone is refused for services, turned down. They described it as a spiritual attack to them. It hurts them. Some people say just go to another store, and we've gone down that road with separate but equal, and that hurts the spirit as well. I guess you can't really. We don't all have the same beliefs, but I think it's important that all people should be treated with dignity and respect. They shouldn't be turned away from a business because of who they are. And I think that if a business is open to the public, it should be open to everyone. And we're just asking business owners in our community to treat people as you would like to be treated. It's the golden rule.
All right.
And it's that simple.
Well, thank you so much, Dwayne. Very much appreciated. Thanks for standing up on this topic. We've seen you standing up in some of the meetings there, and some pretty decent coverage, too, in the press enterprise of this movement afoot to make sure that fairness and this community response is brought up and talked about. So thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you very much for having me.
Really do appreciate it. That is Dwayne Heisler, and he is from Catawissa, but a Bloomsburg business co-owner and one of the organizers and one of the outreach people for a rally that's coming up this Sunday, Lights for Equality and Fairness Vigil, 6:30 p.m. Sunday in front of the Columbia County Courthouse. Your reaction, folks, we'd love to hear from you. 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number, 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket is open. You simply email on the mark at WKOK.com, and we'll be back in a minute after word from our main sponsor, the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Hi, everybody. Steve Jones from The Steve Jones Show. Roger Goodell said Friday we will get our house in order. And I'm sorry. Words we wish Kevin Herr would say. We'll talk about it today, 3 to 5, News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Welcome back to the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark, 22nd day of September 2014. Autumn begins sort of halfway today. The equinox, I believe, is actually tomorrow, but autumn begins today at some particular moment in time. There'll be a big announcement, and we'll probably send out tweets and so on and say, welcome to fall, that kind of thing.
And then everybody cries.
No, well, football fans don't. Let's see. Steelers won their game. Penn State won their game. Kevin Herr's son probably did not play on.
No, he did.
Oh, he did.
Friday he saw some playing time on Friday.
Good. Okay, fantastic.
Bucknell won their game, Kevin?
Yes, on the road.
Right,
big win for the Bison on the road against a very quality Sacred Heart team.
Wow, great. So good. So all the local teams won. Well, fantastic. 1-800, did the Eagles win their game?
Yes.
Oh, man, alive. We just can't find
Barely.
Oh, but well, as always, right?
A win is a win is a win.
It was a heck of a game, though. It was. It opened up a lot of discussions in the blogosphere of the NFL.
Now, when I listened to the very beginning of the Eagle 107 broadcast, our sister station, they were talking about the fact that the Eagles should win this game against a blank adjective Redskins, but some disparaging remarks saying how bad they were. Was that an overcharacterization of the Redskins, or were they a pretty good team?
Redskins, I mean, they're rebuilding, but they have they're finding a quarterback finally, and the Eagles squeaked it out.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't a dominant game by the Eagles, and the Redskins hung in there. The Eagles, are 3-0, and they do have some things they have to address, but no, the Redskins certainly aren't.
They're not hapless or anything.
No, they're not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Or the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, fantastic. All right. Well, we had lots of football coverage on the CBS Sports and broadcasts over the week, and of course we broadcast the Penn State game, and all those other games we talked about were available somewhere. At least the scores were on WKOK, so we keep you posted about that. We're very glad to say Dwayne Heisler called in a little while ago. We'll talk about that during the 9 o'clock hour. We'd love your reaction to this idea that we need a law change in order to force businesses to not discriminate against certain individuals. And of course, as you know, the libertarians in all of us are very concerned about, how much do you want to reach into a private business's office and say, okay, this is the way you have to transact a business. And so I think this should be brought up and talked again. We'll have talked about again. We'll talk about it during the 9 o'clock hour.
It's discrimination and under the umbrella. Where does it come? Where are the specifics under discrimination laws?
Right. And under what circumstances is it appropriate to discriminate? Plus, we got a half a dozen emails pending, so we can sift through those. One relates to corporations, another football culture. And believe it or don't, we have a list of the most expensive places to live, and Pennsylvania's not on that. You're listening to On the Mark, WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. Sunbury Motor Company, our main sponsor. Lenape Solar sponsors the email in basket. This is Newsradio 1070. WKOK Sunbury.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. A spokesman for the Islamic State is exhorting ISIS followers to attack Americans and their allies. Live to CBS News correspondent Vicki Barker.
In the Arabic language audio recording, Abu Muhammad al-Adnani urges all followers of ISIS to attack citizens of the U.S., Canada, France, and other countries that have joined a coalition aimed at destroying the group. He taunts President Obama, saying he's repeating the mistakes of his predecessor, George W. Bush, and he mocks Western leaders, telling them, if you fight ISIS, it just becomes stronger, and if you leave it alone, it grows and expands. Frank?
Turkey says 130,000 Syrian refugees have crossed the border since late last week to get away from advancing ISIS fighters. Ariane Rummery is with the UN Refugee Agency in Geneva.
Many of them are women and children. They're frightened. They've fled with very little more than the clothes on their back.
Here at home, Secret Service officials are talking about setting up security checkpoints near the White House, where a man with a knife was able to scale a fence Friday night and get inside before anyone stopped him. After finding one of his rifles, state and local police and federal agents believe they're getting closer to finding Eric Freen himself. He's the suspect in the murder of a Pennsylvania state trooper. But CBS's Vladimir Dudier tells us they aren't going to rest until Freen is actually caught.
It's believed that he has several weapons, so getting rid of one of them probably wouldn't change the idea that the police believe he's still very heavily armed and dangerous.
That and the heavy concentration of law enforcement personnel in the area are keeping people in Canadensis, Pennsylvania, on edge.
Unnerving, to be honest. I mean, it's almost like a military presence.
3 Afghan Army officers who were on Cape Cod for military training have been missing since Saturday. WBZ-TV's Kent McLeod has the latest on that.
Military officials are saying at this point that they don't pose any threat to the public. But at this hour, a number of local and federal agencies are looking for them, including the FBI and the State Department.
The men were last seen at a Hyannis, Massachusetts shopping mall. A rising tide of economic recovery is supposed to lift all the boats, but a report out today says that's not been the case. Live to CBS News correspondent Heather Bosch.
About 3 million Americans are still unemployed years after they lost their jobs during the Great Recession, according to a Rutgers survey. Professor Carl Van Horn says some worked in industries that have changed, but many face stigma.
Because many employers assume, well, if they're long-term unemployed, there must be some problem with them.
And the troubles aren't over for those who have found work after layoffs. 46% say they're making less than they did at their previous jobs.
Court hearing is scheduled today on a motion to stop the city of Detroit from shutting off service to people who haven't paid their water bills. The city disconnected 15,000 customers between April and June of this year. The price of gasoline fell 9 cents in the past 2 weeks to a nationwide average $3.37 in the latest Lundberg survey. S&P futures are down 7. This is CBS News.
I sit on the bank of the Hudson River, looking across at New York City. On sunny days, I shine. When it snows, I get very, very cold. I've never missed a day of work. I can honestly say that I carry the weight of the economy on my back. I am 1 mile of CSX railroad track. There are 21,000 more just like me. We're all here to keep things moving forward. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
More than 700 quick lane tire and auto centers across this country, and she chooses mine.
I need tires, all season, and at a great price.
She wanted it all, but even she was surprised once I crunched the numbers. Soon her Taurus was ready to roll.
Say, you're good, Mr.
Murphy, ma'am, at your service, even on weekends.
With great prices on 13 name brand tires and no appointment necessary, Quick Lane is ready to serve. Visit quicklane.com.
Emissions of carbon dioxide, the chemical blamed for climate change, reached an all-time high last year, and they're expected to shatter that record this year. CBS News correspondent Pam Coulter.
Scientists based in Britain say CO2 emissions from burning fossil fuels will rise an estimated 2.5% this year, 65% above 1990 levels, set as a reference in the Kyoto Protocol. The largest emitters, the U.S., China, India, and the European Union, account for 58% of the emissions. Only the EU managed to reduce its emissions last year by almost 2%.
The Rockefeller family, which made its fortune in the oil business, is joining with other wealthy individuals and philanthropic groups to sell off their fossil fuel investments. A spokesman for the Rockefeller Brothers Fund says he's sure that if John D. Rockefeller were alive today, he'd be all for getting out of oil and into clean energy. Frank Sedapani, CBS News.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Ken Marcus was making a pastrami sandwich when he noticed an odd pattern on a slice of pumpernickel bread, one that spelled out Geico. Ken found himself visiting geico.com, saving hundreds of dollars on car insurance with great discounts. Later, Ken felt conflicted whether or not he should eat the slice of bread that saved him so much money. But he was so hungry.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
More than 700 quick lane tire and auto centers across this country, and she chooses mine.
I need tires, all season, and at a great price.
She wanted it all, but even she was surprised once I crunched the numbers. Soon her Taurus was ready to roll.
Say, you're good, Mr.
Murphy, ma'am, at your service, even on weekends.
With great prices on 13 name brand tires and no appointment necessary, Quick Lane is ready to serve. Visit quicklane.com.
Newsradio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley.
And good morning, Susquehanna Valley. On the Mark, brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, a family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, and routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Find out more at sunburymotors.com. We also invite you to join and visit the Quick Lane on North 4th Street in Sunbury. They specialize in service on all types of vehicles, state inspections, and one of Mark's favorite, nitrogen for the tires. They're open 7 to 7. Monday through Friday, and 7 to 3 on Sunday or Saturday. But also, too, when you're at the Quick Lane, you can tap into the technology of Sunbury Motors and enjoy Wi-Fi, enjoy the other services they have there. So also, too, ask them about the Fuel Saver package. And also, too, Mark, good time to get winterized.
I know.
Get
your car
winterized well in the fall instead of waiting till it is time in the middle of winter. So Sunbury Motors, a proud sponsor of On the Mark.
All right, I should turn in my old tires that are bald. I'll never be able to use them again. Kevin, tell us about this wonderful vehicle you get to drive this week.
This week we're featuring the Ford Escape, the 2014 Ford Escape, which averages 28 miles to the gallon on the highway especially. And with the EcoBoost engine, the 4-cylinder will act like a 6-cylinder with the gas savings that are included. It will actually adjust its all-wheel drive to your needs. So in other words, if it notices that it's a little bit snowy, a little bit slippery, it'll adjust automatically into the all-wheel drive. You don't have to do a thing. Just one of the many features of this week's featured vehicle, the 2014 Escape, available at Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury. Check it out. That titanium edition is what we're talking about this week, with some great features like the sync package included. As a matter of fact, you'll get that absolutely free with the 2014 because they offer a discount right on the spot if the sync package is included.
Did you sync in?
Absolutely. I love Sync.
You love
Listen, I absolutely
Explain
love
what it is.
Sync. Sync is the Ford-Microsoft joint venture that allows you to sync all your audio on your phone and your phone, not to mention navigation availability.
GPS.
The GPS, yep. You also can sync into automatic 911 assist. So if the vehicle ends up sensing the airbags went off, it will use your phone and dial 911 for you. Just one of the many features available in the Microsoft Sync system, as well as being able to say, play Fun, and then it'll play a song from your list from the group Fun.
Is there a group named Fun?
Yes.
There is not.
Small F-U-N, period, Fun.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, believe me, I have the entire album.
So, Kevin,
Some Nights, big album.
You're driving into work in the morning and you're saying, what, play some Neil Diamond? What's your forte?
No, he listens to WKOK on the way in.
That's correct. I listen to Mark on the way in, so I can yell at him when he
Right.
gets, when I
No, you don't wait till you come in. Don't give me that.
All right, so I will use the verbal connection with Sync and send a text message that way.
Exactly right. He's simply quiets the cabin for a moment and says, "Send text. To whom would you like to send your short message system text?" And it says Mark Lawrence Mobile, and then it says,
"Would you like to send saved message that says Mark Stop It?" And then I usually say yes.
All right, well there you go, got it. Okay, well
no,
thank
I'm
you.
just kidding. Mark is right. You can the part of the Sync system is you can actually verbal text as well.
Absolutely, and you can,
which is a safety factor too.
One of the things about the colloquy of the Sync system that even our phones don't do is they say, "Would you like this text message CC'd to anyone else?" So that's slightly different. So he can put down, yes, CC Roger Haddon Jr. because Mark keeps doing the same thing every day.
Not completely true.
But no, a huge safety factor. So, Kevin, you can still enjoy yourself sitting in the back seat while this car drives you to work, and you can still send in all that information.
Like that yet.
No, it's not quite there.
It doesn't drive itself. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the information. SunburyMotors.com. And Lenape Solar email in basket is open. No current emails in there. We got a couple left over from last week, but we will read them. We'll sift through them. Lenape Solar email in basket open. You simply email on the market at WKOK.com. At Lenape Solar, they would love to see you in the showroom. Why? Because they can show you the Mitsubishi HVAC ductless cooling and heating systems that they have for your home. Ultra inexpensive, ultra efficient, and just an ultra super way to make great use of supplemental heating and cooling. Maybe it's the only cooling you need. You're getting tired of lugging those great big window air conditioners in and out of your home. An HVAC, a permanent heat pump system, would be a fantastic way to go. You already got natural gas, or you're using already one heat pump, but it can't quite keep up, or you end up with a hot spot somewhere, or maybe it's not doing well enough in the basement. Put that system on dehumidify, and voila, you're off. And they would just love to hook you up at Lenape Solar with the ductless HVAC systems. Ultra inexpensive, ultra efficient, and it's just the ultra system at LenapeSolar.com. Check it out. They'd love to talk to you about that. So we thank our sponsors. We have open phones. We had a man on the phone a short time ago talking about the concept of discrimination and some racial tension in Bloomsburg. If you have an observation about that or an email, email on the market at WKOK.com. Call us 1-800-795-9565. We do have some news headlines to pass along. Very disconcerting information out of Sunbury Sunday morning when it became clear that arson was behind a series of fires. We first told you in our WKOK newscast Sunday morning that a fire broke out around 4 in the morning on one porch, only to find out that additional small fires were set on Reagan Street, North 7th Street, and Packer Street. City police say there is some video in that area, and they'll try to post that at the Sunbury Police Facebook presence ASAP. We'll link link to it ASAP too. And it shows a medium-build male setting one of the fires. Police say they're in the early stages of the investigation. We'll keep you posted about that. Neighbors in the area expressed serious concerns about safety after that arson spree in Sunbury. Authorities believe they're hot on the trail of the suspect in last week's deadly police barracks ambush in the heavy northeastern Pennsylvania woods of Monroe County, and they found items they believe he abandoned, but they still haven't found him. State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bevins said Sunday that 31-year-old Eric Freen remains at large despite an intensive search of the neighborhood where he lived with his parents in Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains. Bevins says the recovered items include an AK-47 style weapon and ammunition. Police are urging residents to take extreme caution as the search continues for the man described as a survivalist. FBI got involved in the search at least some of the weekend. Also, the Penn State Board of Trustees is postponing a public debate over the Free report on the Penn State child rape cover-up allegations. They postponed it till at least this fall. The Harrisburg Patriot reported over the weekend the trustees discussed the issue for several hours Friday morning and agreed to try and reach a joint statement this fall. The trustees are divided over Louis Freeh's report on Penn State's handling of the Sandusky child's sexual abuse and the alleged so you got that? Alleged cover-up?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Free concluded that top officials covered up the allegations against Sandusky for more than a decade to avoid bad publicity, thus leading to what was termed a football culture at the university, quote, at that time, unquote. No indication in the Free report that the football culture continues. The report about Sandusky has been a lightning rod for criticism among alumni and fans. Sandusky was convicted in 2012, and 3 former administrators, of course, as you know, are facing what Bob Buhner Jr. would call flimsy charges. And finally, a multi-faith service at New York's Cathedral of St. John the Divine has appealed for global action on climate change. Former Vice President Al Gore joined Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, and Native American leaders at a service that mixed preaching with solemn rituals and chants. Gore said the climate change march through Manhattan earlier Sunday was an example of praying with your feet. Rabbi Ellen Bernstein told worshipers that the preservation of our beautiful world is our greatest religious imperative. Native American Chief Arvol Looking Horse said Spirit Mother is sick and has a fever. On Tuesday, more than 120 world leaders will attend the United Nations Climate Summit aimed at galvanizing support for a new global climate treaty by the end of 2015. Did you go up there yesterday and counter protest?
No, you should. No need to counter protest. There should be a discussion on it, and it should be brought out on all sides, whichever information could come out. The sad part about the UN group is that you have countries like China, India, Germany, I want to think Argentina and Brazil, but groups that aren't taking part in it. So again, then it becomes how do you go solve problems if all people aren't at the table? And how are you going to discuss and agree on what these problems are? So it's going to be, unfortunately, somewhat of a futile attempt without the major players there, but you hope there can be some positives that come out if all sides are represented.
Now, on Wednesday, Ed Perry of the National Wildlife Federation is coming in. He talks about the fact that there is global effort, that China and Germany and the Soviet Union, he lists the countries that everybody's addressing it a little. Some are addressing it a lot, and some, as you said, China and Russia remain big perpetrators, and their effort is far more minuscule than even that in the U.S. So there does seem to be some global awareness of this. But and I asked this of our audience, what should we do? Should we protest? Should we pray, as the rabbi encouraged us to do? As Al Gore called us, should we pray with our feet and protest and, go up to New York? Change your own personal life, of course, would be one thing. What should we do when it comes to climate change? 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number, 1-800-795-9565. Somehow this got hijacked by the Democrats in Washington, D.C., and that then made it a partisan issue. But I think you're slowly starting to see more conservatives, although not the Susquehanna Valley conservatives, but other conservatives get on board and realize that the climate's getting warmer, oceans are getting warmer, becoming more acidic, and that we really have that the much of the what was permanent ice is melting, and we got a big pickle. And our climate is changing, and man is the perpetrator of this.
Well, the jury's way out on that, and we just saw the reports come out.
Which part? 2
weeks ago. The report you just talked about. You're seeing now more ice up at the poles. You're seeing, what is it, 19 years now that there has not been warming. That the debate's coming out now. Let's look at it, and this needs to be discussed. But again, a lot of the information has really been looked at very hard of the past, and now if scientists, countries want to come together and have a legitimate discussion on it, that's fine. But the jury's way out on this, and it's starting to somewhat be looked at now as where is it? When you say it's Democrats, environmentalists that are pushing this, it's almost an anti-capitalist scenario, meaning that what man has been doing is ruining not only the earth, but for economic purposes, it's better to do. The environmental groups says they can grow their economies. Well, that hasn't been shown either. So without China, without Russia, without Germany, without countries, India not being there, what type of conference are you really having?
So you're saying the jury's still out on the planet getting warmer, or that man is causing it?
The man is causing it, and what is causing it. And also now in the last 19 years are we in the cycles. And if you look back at the Earth, climate has changed from day one. And you go back and look at the prehistoric eras and look at the ice ages, look at the warmings, and what was the cycles that caused that. And now we're looking at saying, okay, now are we in cycles, and what influence does man have or not? Or are these cycles that the world goes through? And, because if you're saying warming and you're saying cooling, then how do you go back and explain what happened in the past without man being, the small flea on the back of a elephant? Because, climate has changed.
All right, you heard it, folks. The jury's still out on whether man-made climate change is happening. But you agree the planet's getting warmer, right?
I think the cycles are there. Right now, aren't we in a 19-year cycle that hasn't shown?
So in the
warmth?
past, is
it the 19 years?
Is the globe warmer today than it was 100 years ago, or not?
Is that where it's saying it's 0.003 degrees warmer? Is that the part?
We'll take that as a yes.
Well, but now if that has warmed, what's the cause of it? And again, go back and look at the Earth as a whole, and look at the cycles it's been through since its conception.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. If there's anybody in our audience that thinks they know better, give us a buzz. 1-800-795-9565. The world is warmer today than it was 100 years ago. Ben would have you think it's a natural cycle. So let's find out. Let's get your view on this. 1-800-795-9565. It seems like the preponderance of evidence in this question is that it's man-made climate change, but we'd love folks' view on this. We have to take a quick break. We will be back momentarily, but our toll-free line is 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket, 100% wide open. Email on the market at WKOK.com. And our main sponsor and the provider of a shiny, bright Ford Escape out in the front lot that belongs to Kevin Herr is the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Today is the day you switch to Rite Aid for one simple reason. Wellness Plus, the card that gives you credits you can use like cash. Plus, discounts that only members get. Plus, 20% off almost the entire store. Plus, that's for a whole year. Plus, rewards that start today and pile on every time you shop. So, if you're tired of missing out on all the pluses only Rite Aid delivers, visit RiteAidWellness.com to sign up and learn more today about Wellness Plus. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal.
I like my breakfast like I like my rock. Soft. So I eat Belvita Soft Baked Breakfast Biscuits, a tasty breakfast option for nutritious morning energy. It's just what I want before writing a flute solo that will softly rock every dentist's office around. Try Belvita Soft Baked in oats and chocolate, cinnamon, mixed berry, and banana bread. Belvita, morn and win.
This is Justin Charles from Lenape Solar. Did you know we use exclusive manufacturing partners? Our solar modules are made with American components in an American factory by an American company in Milwaukee. Our lighting fixtures are made less than 3 hours away in Philadelphia. Even our fluorescent lamps are made here in the U.S., as are our solar racking systems. We're dedicated not just to quality, but our local economy. Find out more by calling 286-1496, online at lenapesolar.com, or drop by our showroom at 140 South 2nd Street, Sunbury, and see these products in person.
Smart Drive tips for smart drivers. Hi, I'm Riley from Sealands This year, I will choose to start off the school year right. I choose to practice good driving habits, to not drive distracted, to remain drug and alcohol free, to always wear my seatbelt, and to never put myself or my passengers in danger. I choose to drive smart and not break my mama's heart. This message brought to you by the stations of Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation, including Newsradio 1070 WKOK, and Sealands Ford, proud supporters of Susquehanna Smart Drive.
All right, I just answered the question, why watch the webcam? Because you get to see me dancing in my seat. Fantastic bumper music. Thank you so much. It must be the group Fun, since Kevin is the king.
No, but I'll do that next time.
That's, isn't that the Kia commercial
It's
music?
No, it's a popular song
yeah,
first.
But isn't it a Kia music, though, Kevin?
It is today.
Maybe it is. I don't
Kia
remember being in a Kia
music,
commercial, but maybe.
With the rodents dancing around in the car?
Hold on. Dave, thank you so much for waiting through the break. We really appreciate it. You're on the mark.
Well, good morning. I'm kind of like Ben on these cycle deals. Here about a year ago, there was an article in the paper about they were taking core samples down through the ice in the polar ice cap there up in Arctic. And when they got down to the ground level, there was ferns. Being as ferns only grow in hot areas, why, at one time the Arctic was a tropic area. The other thing is, we have all the history stuff that we were taught that the Asian type people came across the land bridge up in Alaska to settle North America. So the glaciers all melted, or a lot of the glaciers melted to put that all underwater. And our mountains here in Pennsylvania that were formed by the glaciers. And I mean, there wasn't any man around to, enough men around to cause all this global warming back then that, why can't it be accepted that the Earth does things on its own?
So this climate change that we're experiencing now is a natural cycle, just as at one point we happened to be you could drive to a glacier, the front of a glacier that was located near where you're at right now, and the ferns in the Arctic may have been tropical there. Of course, land masses move, so just because you find something at one spot doesn't mean that's where it started. But in any event.
The other thing they just had on a week or so ago about how the ozone layer is getting thicker. So if we still have all this pollution, how's that happen?
All right. One of our listeners, Than, sends a note, and this you can help answer this, Dave. The jury's no longer out on man's part in global warming. The only people who think that are people paid to dig fossil fuels. Follow the money. It's like the discrimination laws. People just hate to hear the truth, says Than. Do you hate to hear the truth, Dave?
No, because, well, just like, okay, with Dan there, okay, he's still driving a car, he's still using his computer, and if he couldn't do any of that without fossil fuels, so he's not, you know, if you're going to talk the talk and walk the walk, you know, don't just go on about, okay, man's doing all this, but you still contribute to it, you know.
Well, Than's the only person I know that goes on vacation via train, so maybe that mass transit is thought to be a fuel saver. I do know that.
Well, by the same token, okay, if coal is so bad, why is everybody having such a big deal about natural gas?
Yeah, and
because natural gas is reducing the emissions.
Yeah, and the hypocrisy runs on all sides to a degree here, but on the email side, hate to hear the truth. The truth is what? And that's where the discussion and the information needs to come out, and then decisions can be made. But it's interesting that some of the environmental groups don't want to hear a discussion because they think it's already out, and they rely on the IPCC, which is the United Nations Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. That have a lot of that information has been refuted, but there is information in there that should be discussed. So if all parties can't come together and discuss it, but as soon as you bring up climate change and you start to question it, you got groups that say, okay, you're they want to pigeonhole you into certain groups, but again, without a true discussion, where are we going to be?
All right, thank you very much,
the
Dave.
thing of it is, you have scientists on both sides of the issues.
Yeah.
So which do you say is completely wrong, or which group of scientists do you say is wrong?
Yeah, and Dave,
the ones that say that it's not affecting that much, or the ones that say that the gloom and doom.
Yeah, and also too, you have some history on your side. Like you said, if you look at the Earth and you look at what has gone on throughout its history, you have the warming, you have the cooling cycles, and now. Have we just exacerbated it with the media coverage and the crisis coverage, or is this cycles that man can live through in the next 100 years?
All right, we got you
guys.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
One.
Really, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate that. 1-800-795-9565. One of our listeners signs his emails, concerned citizen of the planet Earth. This individual says, it amazes me to hear how people can say so much and know so little about climate change. And I'm assuming this person's referring to me. My grade school children are studying charts about how the world's temperature is increasing at a much more drastic rate since people started polluting it. How difficult is it for people to actually do some research on the subject before deciding that it's not just propaganda from the opposing political party, says a concerned citizen.
He didn't address, and that is part of the problem is what are grade school students being taught and what is the proper side of it. So it would be interesting to see what information is coming out and what scientists have put that information together.
Our schools are missing the boat here, or being led by liberal Democrats.
We just say what it is. But again,
what
that
is
information,
it, is what I'm saying.
That information there, he's talking about, they've researched. So what is it warming? Because you have research that says it's not warming. And in the last 19 years,
yeah, tell me what you have. You have some information from the UN.
Yeah, we look at the UN control, but you look at the information here, where it's talking about the AGT, average temperature, has not increased since it's declined since 95 and declined since 2002. Now there has been an increase in CO2s, and that's a different discussion to have. But the point about when you talk about what's being taught to the school, you hope there's both sides of stories and both sides of information. So for this person, we'll put it back. It amazes me to hear people that might have limited information in regards to it. But if you look at the history of the world, explain the Ice Age, explain the volcanic ages, explain those without man there, and those were cycles. So when you say, no, we cannot be in a cycle, man's doing this, if somebody knows that 110%, then put the information out there. But again, you look at the IPCC and you look at the information that has been out. But the part about it is it's the models, and it's models on both sides. When you take models and you start let's say assuming things are going to happen, or you start making and it's almost like the free report we talked about Penn State, when there was information there and you said, well, this logically could happen. Well, maybe it couldn't happen either. So the global warming, climate change, the effects should be put out into a, let's see, a discussion almost like the monkey trials. And everybody bring their information and put it out there. There should be, and it should be promoted by governments. Maybe the UN isn't the right group to be the conduit here, but there should be a discussion, and all sides should be represented with the information.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. I love your view on this, folks. We're talking about climate change. As you can tell, the jury is still out on climate change, whether it's a natural, cyclical warming of the planet, and is the planet even getting warmer, and what factor, if any, is carbon, and what impact, if any, does man have on all of this? Believe it or don't, we're having this debate again here on WKOK. I thought we had all this decided, but I am I am not adequately informed, as I've been told by our good letter writer. Our grade school children that have told us about climate change have been misinformed, and my good co-host says I need to
I don't think we said they're misinformed. It'd be interesting to see
or half-informed.
What information is being discussed.
Well, look who's educating children. It's liberal Democrats or all the teachers, right?
Well, you certainly hope that there's a balance on education. Time will tell. You get into the colleges and universities, you can track that, but you would hope that there would be balanced information and a discussion. Not an argument that one side's right, one side's wrong, but a discussion. And here's the information. Here's factual information. Here's historic information, and come to some conclusions. And people can agree to disagree, but on the other hand, there's a lot at stake here as far as follow the money. Follow the money on the environmental side, and there's some interesting results coming there also.
1-800-795-9565. We are trying to get to the bottom of climate change once and for all. We are having the discussion as requested by young Ben here. 1-800-795-9565. Get involved in that discussion. I'd love to hear from you. 1-800-795-9565. A Lenape Solar email in basket is open. You simply email onthemark@WKOK.com, and we will be right back.
Mobile Deposit is here at the Northumberland National Bank. Use your Nori Bank mobile app on your smartphone or iPad to log in. Take a photo of your check and enter the deposit amount. It's a convenient alternative to visiting your local branch to deposit 1 or 2 checks. Plus, there are no lines, no paperwork, and no worries. With Mobile Deposit from the Northumberland National Bank, banking just got easier. Download the Northumberland National Bank's app now for your convenience. Try it and see how easy it is to have 24/7 account access at your fingertips.
We're used to dealing with problems, standing by you through it all. But whenever it comes to service, you'll find we're always well first. At Northumberland National Bank, the customer always comes first.
The Northumberland National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Northumberland National Bank, the customer always comes first.
Construction companies, let's talk value. Your clients want it, their clients want it, and you deserve it too. That's why JCB, the world's #1 backhoe manufacturer, is introducing the new JCB 3CX. With telematics and a 5-year warranty, both standard, it's the best value backhoe in Pennsylvania. Ready to lease today from only $7.99 a month at Stevenson JCB. Go to jcbpromo.com/new demo. Offer valid until December 31st, 2014 on select new models at participating JCB dealers and is subject to JCB finance approval.
Now there's a new way to find your wild. PennsWilds.com guides you through Pennsylvania's great outdoors with articles that are serious, humorous, and always informative. You'll find Outdoors PA features with the Pennsylvania Game Commission covering hunting, licensing, and wildlife. Learn hunting safety, brag about your hunt, and upload photos to the Ram Trophy Room. PennsWilds.com. Brought to you by Ram Trucks and the rugged 2014 Ram 1500. Explore the wilds of Pennsylvania at PennsWilds.com.
The store is open. Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation brings you Half Price Susquehanna Valley, where you can buy a certificate for half the cost of its value. Southwestern cookery at its best from Abrana Marie's Taco Queen, South 2nd Street, Sunbury, featuring tacos, burritos, enchiladas, quesadillas, and much more. This Wednesday morning at 9, head online and buy a $20 Abrana Marie's gift certificate for only $10. Get shopping and save this week at Half Price Susquehanna Valley, only from WKOK.com.
That's fun.
All right, music from Queen. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Actually, it sounds a lot like Queen. A lot of the stuff that they did had a Queen influence, and they freely accredit that to Queen.
Is that Fun, the music we're hearing?
That is the group Fun, yes.
So they've been to Buckingham Palace.
I don't know if they've been to Buckingham Palace, but they do credit.
If the Queen is influencing her,
they do credit Queen as an influence, and you can hear it in Some Nights, and you can hear it a little bit in the vocal harmonies. Some Nights was the song I just played there. You know, We Are Young. You've heard that song before.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's a great song.
There you go. That's another one.
That's a good song for Stadia.
You would download that album. You would. Some Nights you would. There is not a song on that album I dislike. I have to admit, and I'm very picky.
If I only knew how to download albums, I surely would.
And Mark would sit on his back porch drinking a scotch and water, enjoying the sound.
You would sing along with Carry On. And
I'm a beer man. 1-800-795-9565. We have an open line, but we got one man standing by. Some emails on our climate topic. Than sends us a note. Says 97% of scientists think man-made, that climate change is man-made. 3% disagree on climate change. So 97% of scientists think it's man-made. 3% plus Ben disagree on climate change.
No, I think there's definitely climate change, and that's the intergovernmental UN intergovernmental report that showed that. And then out of that 97%, you can now start to that has changed now. Again, to throw that information out, it's not.
Disingenuous? Is that what you're saying?
It's just not right. No, we'll go back and that can be discussed.
Right.
But
it's a vast majority, but 3% might be too small.
No, you got to look at it's not all scientists. It's people that were within the industry. You had the University over in England, and once this information, it was 97% of the UN appointed scientists and self-proclaimed climate people. And again, it's the IPCC group, so
all right,
we'll take that with what it is.
All right, Than also says, Ben, you are in the gas industry, so do make that clear. Explain your involvement with the gas industry.
No, there's very little
but
gas
some,
industry.
Yes.
No,
no.
We sell products at some of the contractors who work, but we're in the water conservation business, and I would think Than was a little more cerebral and to do some research and find out on some things before you make some accusations. But no.
So you're not involved in the gas industry at all whatsoever, period.
Yes,
End of story.
Are. No, we're involved in the construction industry, and that industry spanned. Remember, the construction industry also is environmental and is water conservation, and we do a lot with the water conservation
groups. So you benefit
groups.
from the gas industry.
Benefit from the construction industry. The gas industry is involved with that. The water conservation, environmental industry is involved in that. The things that we're starting to do with, again, a lot of stormwater management to control that. There's products all over in that. So, again, it's a little bit of a red herring. So, we'll accept it.
Let's see. One of our listeners, third smartest woman in the world, says, Mark, please refer to teachers as union thugs. I call them liberal Democrats, but union thugs is what they really are, says Caitlin. She also says, this is great listening to your science experts, Dave and Ben, people like Than and I, and the 350,000 marchers in New York yesterday would love to change to 100% renewable energy sources. If the oligarchs would stop stacking the deck in favor of big oil, big gas, and big coal, we would have a choice to make the switch to affordable renewable energy. Question for Dave, was the Antarctic tropical before or after Noah put the dinosaurs on the ark?
That's
a question. Yeah, she should be more cerebral too.
Well,
right?
again, what's the purpose of that? So if ferns and that information are found in the Antarctic, and it goes down to the core samples, and it shows that parts of the Antarctic were potentially had vegetation at one time. That's just factual. So, and believe me, no science experts, and short, your emailer is a self-proclaimed expert herself. 350,000 people. I didn't hear that number, nor did any of the media, for the most part, major media, who are pretty pro-environmental, did not really report on that a whole lot.
Well, it was a top story on NBC yesterday.
Yeah, but it was NBC Nightly reported on it. 350,000.
Yeah, probably just the first couple minutes of the newscast. I mean, it wasn't like a 20-minute report or anything. And then they went to Pennsylvania for the FBI. Paul, thank you so much for waiting during our climate discussion. You are on the mark.
Well, you guys are blaming man for this climate change.
Not Ben, just me.
No, I know.
Right.
We're questioning what man's
role is, if any.
Yeah. We'll look at it that way.
We're questioning what role man has, if any.
Well, then, what role did man play when the climate change froze everything and made it a solid piece of ice?
Well, that's the point. We talk about the history of the Earth and look at the climate changes and the cycles that the Earth has gone through, and to your point, what role did human beings play back in the ages when there was little to no human beings, if any?
All right, another listener. Thank you, Paul. Very much appreciated. Another listener sends us a note. Says, it's a good thing that science came up with gravity, or we would all float away. To the teacher who wrote, please keep teaching the truth as we know it about climate change by listening to science, peer reviews, and common sense. Another listener sends us a note. That's not the right one. This would be it. Let's see. There we go. George Carlin said, haven't we done enough? We're so self-important, so self-important. Everybody's going to save something now. Save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save those snails. And the greatest arrogance of all, save the planet. What? Are these people kidding me? Save the planet? We don't even know how to take care of ourselves yet. We haven't learned how to care for one another, and we're going to save the planet? I'm getting tired of it. I'm tired of Earth Day. I'm tired of these self-righteous environmentalists, these white bourgeoisie liberals who think the only thing wrong with this country is there aren't enough bicycle paths, people trying to make the world safe for their Volvos. Besides, environmentalists don't give a hoot about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live, their own habitat. They're worried someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced.
I think that ran on the same rant where he said, when did we all need to carry our own personal bottles of water? Why did we need to pick up water? Didn't we take water when we get home?
Well, and that's George Carlin.
Right.
Pretty interesting. I think his take on baseball and football, it might be more interesting.
All right. 1-800-7565-9565. Dave, thank you for calling in. You are on the mark.
Well, Dan, good morning. Dan ought to go into his article a little more than just a headline, because that 97% of scientists that believe in climate change, only 41% believe there's any danger to it, if he reads on through the rest of the article.
Okay, so that rising oceans and so on is not a danger to people who end up
apparently
flooded?
the 97% of these scientists that believe in climate change, only 41% believe that there's any danger. So, as long as we're going to quote the story, well, let's quote all of it.
Yeah, send me the link to that. If you don't mind, I hate to ask you to do something of my research. I haven't read that, and both you and Ben are referring to it, and, I did read last week's.
It's really easy. All you got to do is type in on your computer that what percent of scientists believe in climate change, and you'll find the articles.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. Anything else, sir?
No, that'll do it for now.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for calling in. One of our listeners, Joe from Mifflinburg, says, I will admit to a cyclical nature to nature. However, who's to say man hasn't exacerbated with pollution? Yeah, that's where
there's a potential that, and that should be discussed. But also, too, the Earth is its own largest polluter. When you talk about
because
oil,
of volcanoes and stuff.
Oil that's leaked naturally into the ocean beds, oil that leaks into just the Earth itself, not just in the ocean. And look at volcanoes. Look at the fluorocarbons that are put in the air in volcanoes. And I guess we haven't heard anything more on the volcano in Iceland. that is rupturing. So they're about to erupt, and so again, these should all be discussed and somewhat understood, hopefully, and then nations and businesses can take roles in helping the situation from a standpoint of what does society need, what can we do. But it's again hard to have a conference on UN climate information without China, India, Russia, Germany, and Brazil being there.
All right, 1-800-795-9565 is our famous toll-free line. We invite you to call in. We would just love to hear from you. Give us a buzz, 1-800-795-9565. A Lenape Solar email in basket is open. You simply email onthemark@WKOK.com. Is climate change man-made or not? It's just that simple. That's where we're at back here on WKOK. If we can resolve that once and for all, that will certainly make our job a little bit easier here at WKOK. 1-800-795-9565 is the telephone number. Give us a buzz. We'll be right back after a sponsor who has been kind enough to give a brand new smelling car, a 2014 Ford Escape with automatic all-wheel drive, EcoBoost, the Titanium Edition, and the sync already synced into Kevin's cell phone. The Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, got to go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Today is the day you switch to Rite Aid for one simple reason. Wellness Plus, the card that gives you credits you can use like cash. Plus, discounts that only members get. Plus, 20% off almost the entire store. Plus, that's for a whole year. Plus, rewards that start today and pile on every time you shop. So, if you're tired of missing out on all the pluses only Rite Aid delivers, visit RiteAidWellness.com to sign up and learn more today about Wellness Plus. Rite Aid. With us, it's personal.
I like my breakfast like I like my rock. Soft. So I eat Belvita soft baked breakfast biscuits, a tasty breakfast option for nutritious morning energy. It's just what I want before writing a flute solo that will softly rock every dentist's office around. Try Belvita soft baked in oats and chocolate, cinnamon, mixed berry, and banana bread. Belvita, morning win.
If you don't want to waste your time and gas driving to work, you can call Vanpool with Yusta. Employers, do you have employees who need help with transportation? Call 1-877-877-9021 for details or visit online at yustatrans.org. Vans are available now and ready to go. That's yustatrans.org. You used to commute, now you can Vanpool with Yusta. We take care to get you there.
One 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. We're trying to resolve this climate debate once and for all, if we can do so, and on the mark. So when the UN meets later this week, it will have some positive impact, though China and India, biggest polluters in the world, not present, correct? Right?
Mm-hmm, the way I understand,
Okay.
China, India, Russia, Germany, and I believe Brazil, Argentina.
Not present.
Yeah, you have to check who's going to be there and what's going to be the outcome.
All right.
Without them there.
Than sends us a note, went to the computer, and asked again how many scientists think man-made climate change is real. Not surprisingly, still 97%. So
he must be stuck on the
as requested.
Refresh your computer.
Oh, you think that'll help? Okay, Chris, you're on the mark.
Yeah. First of all, the argument that somebody uses a car means they're being hypocritical for supporting legislation about climate change is just, it's a pretty pathetic argument. It's like saying
what did you say? It's a red herring, right?
He doesn't agree with it.
I don't think I said it.
You didn't say it. Dave said it.
Oh, okay. I was just saying. I think the bigger picture, though, is that the actions that people take and what they do in reference to, just climate, the climate itself, and do you look at conservation techniques? Do you look at changing your lifestyles and things like that? And some on all sides, it's a bit hypocritical when somebody wants to get a double dually diesel pickup.
Personally, in the current situation versus what you're trying to get your society to do as a group is not comparable. Now, I'm still waiting for any facts from you, Ben. Now, I realize arguing science on a radio show, call-in show, is kind of ridiculous to start with, but you haven't come up with one fact. The only thing I've heard you say is that in the last 100 years, the world hasn't gotten warmer or very little.
No, I say you look at the information out there, and they're talking about the facts of the cycles of the increases. And when you talk about warming, when you're talking about less than a degree, or you're talking about cooling and where these cycles came from, and you look at 1850 to 1970, and you can discuss what were the causes.
But the ways of measuring it from 1850 to the current day has changed. Why don't you start when there was more scientific research on it, say 1920 or something? You were talking about the last 100 years, and the only thing you've said is about a 19-year cycle, but not explained anything about what 19-year cycle you're talking about. It's like nothing.
Well,
and you're talking about scientific issues that probably can only be determined by peer-review science. Did you go to the
No, we're more than happy here. I'll talk about
meeting with the guy from AccuWeather?
What about Bastardi?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? We have his video posted. He has been on the radio in the past.
I know. I just was asking Ben if he went to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but did you go by chance?
I did some research on him before, but I wasn't able to get to the meeting. But what he was doing, he's made predictions that if climate change scientists had done it and been that wrong, he would have been harping all over it. But his predictions have been very inaccurate about how fast the Arctic ice was going to return and things like that. And he also is using methods of comparing ice. There's several methods of measuring ice at the Arctic, and they all have tiered downward.
Well, here's the story, Chris.
He was using one method of measuring ice and comparing it to a different method of measuring ice and saying, see, there's been no change.
Well,
it's
all right, hold on, Chris. Hold on one second.
It's a lot of...
Well, here's the scenarios that you look at. Okay, if you bring the groups together, how you're going to statistically measure, let's say, ice, statistically look at temperature, those should all be looked at and be far more similar than dissimilar, so real information can be looked at. And understanding how people are doing this would probably be a step forward in returning some credibility to the information that's out there, so people can make legitimate decisions on what's going on within the climate and the effects man is having on it, or not, or what's going on with the cycles. But again, go back to the history of the Earth, and Chris said there's no facts that we've talked about here. What was going on when things were cooling and changing, and man was limited
All right.
was causing it. Often it was volcanoes that were causing it, but also all those things have been done. This lack of credibility you're talking about, it doesn't exist, except in people who are trying to fight specific positions for specific reasons.
Well, there must be a credibility factor somewhere, because it's becoming more rampant that people are questioning the models, and like I said, models on all sides should be looked at how they're obtained.
Yeah, people who are against doing anything about it are questioning it, but their research generally hasn't been peer reviewed, and they're using things like all measurements of ice taken.
So, Chris, is the
IPCC of the Arctic have all gone down? The warming has all gone up. If you compare method A of determinant to method C of determinant, then both
which is the best method, Chris?
Going up, Arctic ice going down, but then you compare one method to the other, and they don't agree because they don't agree on the absolute numbers, because it's
well, which method would be the best on that?
All right,
you
thank
think?
you. All right, 1-800-795-9565. Ultra-speedy dialers could still get through. All right, well, we have a big debate. Thank you so much for your viewpoints. Very much appreciated.
Again, all sides should come together, bring all the information, and discuss it. And there would certainly, like I said, pick the statistical ways that you're going to measure, and then let some people have some clarity, if possible, on topics like this.
All right, 1-800-795-9565 is our famous toll-free line. Write it down. You'll need it tomorrow. Congratulations to the wonderful Shamokin resident who was the winner, the qualifier for Penn State tickets today, and so we thank her for dialing in a big fat hurry. We have the Dan Patrick Show that is coming up, in case you haven't heard, on the Dan Patrick Show, because we did tweet it out earlier today. Brian Billick, Clay Travis, and Jesse Palmer are all famous golfers that are going to be on the Dan Patrick Show.
And you know them all, right?
I never heard of any. Actually, I pay attention to sports. Brian Billick, I've heard of him. Clay Travis and Jesse Palmer, no, I don't know who they are.
Some football analysis.
Just go download the Fun album.
All right, thank you.
Go download some nights. You'll like it.
You have to show me how to download music on my. Oh, that's right.
Music? You can download music now?
I have. You have that Apple stuff, so. Did you get your Apple 6 in the mail Friday?
Yes, it was. It was not for me, but yes, it was received.
You bought your lovely bride the Apple 6 before you have it?
No,
I'm shocked.
He brought his son the Apple 6 before they both have it, right?
Yes.
And on this afternoon Steve Jones show, Joe Susan is on. And if you don't know him, he's been a man who's been on the mark in the past. He's the head football coach of the Bucknell Bison. And believe it or don't, they're 3-0. So the Bison are alive. Yay.
That's great.
Coming
Great
back
start.
home on Saturday night, too.
Fantastic. So Kevin doesn't have to travel so far to do the color.
I love that idea.
On Bison football. Yeah, he went all the way up to Connecticut last Saturday and back. Oh, my gosh.
That was the first time I've ever spent time in Connecticut. I've driven through it, but never been in Connecticut.
You were with some one-percenters up there, weren't you?
I believe so.
All righty. You're listening to ultra-liberal Democrats up there, true, and 1%.
One-percenters.
Right.
The same. One and the same.
Sunbury Motor Company, Lenape Solar, WKOK Sunbury.